Hello, my name is Dale Long and I live in Garland, Texas. In 1963, I was a young boy growing up in Birmingham, Alabama, and was in 16th Street Church on that tragic day when four of my friends were killed. I remember it was right after Sunday school, and there were several of us young folk in the library of the church. We were talking about things that boys talk about. Who would have the best football team? Who would have the best band? See, it was the beginning of the school year, September 15th, as I recall. Right during our discussion, we experienced a building that began to shake and a lot of smoke and dust. And at the time, neither of us knew what exactly was going on, but we knew something was wrong. I remember exiting the church, running up the stairwell from the basement, coming to the outside of the church and experiencing sort of a eerie calm in the air. You could see pigeons that were flying around the area, but I never will forget the pungent odor of gunpowder that was in the air. And it was at that time I realized that the church had been bombed. I started to see people exit the main sanctuary, the main auditorium, and many of them were being helped down the stairwell that led to the outside of the church and to the sidewalk. Several were crying, many were hysterical. There were a few that were even bleeding and being assisted down that stairwell. I looked around for my brother and couldn't find him, and I decided to go back into the church. By that time, the fire department had arrived, and I remember asking the fireman, could I go back to my brother's Sunday school class to see could I find him, and he said, go ahead. I went to his room and yelled his name and looked under the tables and everything, and there was no answer. And then I exited the church the second time, remembering to grab my clarinet. See, it was youth day, and the church orchestra was scheduled to play during the church services. A few moments later, I found Ken. He was standing there with his Sunday school teacher, Miss Effie McCall, who was my grandmother's best friend. And she turned him over to me, and I assured her that we would be all right because I knew my dad was at work just right up the street. About 5 minutes later, I could see him from a distance running. I'd never seen my dad run before, but he was running towards us. And when he crossed the street, he hugged us unlike anything that I'd ever experienced. And he was real concerned about whether or not we were okay because, see, he too had experienced the same thing just months earlier when the A.G. Gaston Motel was bombed, and he was there at work. Friends, I look forward to returning to Birmingham in September to reminisce with my fellow survivors and meet new people who I didn't know back during the time in Birmingham. I also look forward to visiting with the school kids to make sure that that part of our history is retained and they too will be able to understand the story and to take that piece of history, American history, forward. Thank you for allowing me to have this opportunity, and we look forward to returning to my hometown of Birmingham.